Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarves and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
Scarves and Spikes, Sydney and Henry with you as Henry, are at the eve of the summer transfer window. How are you feeling on the eve of the summer transfer window?
Wait, eve? You mean it hasn't started yet? But
officially,
Sydney, today we had like 5 different things happen. What do you mean?
Officially, MLS recognizes July 24th as the opening of the summer transfer window. That being said, yes, there's been a lot going on. Players being traded, players being signed, allegedly reported being signed or supposedly on their way in on loan, players being waived, coaches leaving the club setup, a lot going on. We'll try to get through it with you here in the next little bit, or not the next little bit, the next hour.
I'm sorry, Sydney, but I think with that kind of teaser, you just like perked up the dial-out crowd.
not that coach. Not that
coach. Unfortunately, sorry.
I'm talking about Steve Cook.
Sorry if we raised your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. But no, we'll get into the news coming up here shortly. Tony Husband from Endless Season Pass coming on with us to talk about Atlanta United versus the Seattle Sounders. He'll be on the call on Saturday from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Tony, a repeat guest for Scarves and Spikes, or on Scarves and Spikes. So excited to have him back with us. When was the last time Atlanta United played the Sounders, by the way? Was it
like last year or something like that? Or
it might have been last year.
I think they've played them like every year at this point.
Yeah. I think it was 2023, in fact. 2023. They actually won 2-0. Yorgos Yakimakis had a brace.
Well,
say it again.
Didn't they play last year? I could have sworn they played last year.
I don't think so. It might have been Portland. It might have been the Timbers they played in 2024.
Hang on. Okay, I'm having like a weird Mandela effect here, where I could have sworn they played them last year, and that kind of started the quote unquote, return to possibility of making the playoffs.
Yeah, 2023. 2023 was their last matchup in Seattle. Atlanta won.
Yeah, you're right.
2-0.
My bad.
Then, so this will be the 8th time the teams have faced. So, like you said, Henry, it feels like they have played every year. So they played 17, 18, 19, then played during the COVID year 20. Then again for another 3-year stretch, 21, 22, and 23. So this will be the 7th time, not the 8th time, but the 7th time they have faced each other on the pitch. And
Atlanta leads the series. Let's go.
That
might not last long given how this season's going, but
we'll see. 3-1 against Seattle. 3-1-3, I should say, against Seattle. 3 wins.
Say hi to our friend Edgar from the News Across the Galaxy. Wooden Spoon Collective bros. Yeah. Support each other. Maybe we start a little therapy sesh between all of us at the bottom of the table.
Right.
That might be fun.
We definitely need it. But yeah, Atlanta, the Sounders coming up on Saturday. Again, Tony Husband will be on the call for MLS Season Pass, and we'll have him in shortly. Tommy is going to come on in a little bit. We're just waiting for him. I feel like we can just get started with some of this news coming up. Well, actually, before we do that, let's get Tommy in here because he has some things on his mind. Tommy, what is up? How's it going?
What's going on?
Not much. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Today's the day, right?
What is today?
Today is the All-Star game. I hope you started the show with a happy All-Star Wednesday. Did you do that?
We did not.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's do this right. We got to do this right. Give me a second.
Okay. Well, hold on. No, what are you doing?
Let me go.
This is unscripted.
What has he done?
Welcome everybody to Scarves and Spikes on a MLS Scarves and Spikes All-Star Wednesday spectacular.
Yes.
You got to do it right on MLS Wednesday.
sorry.
MLS,
I'm sorry.
MLS there. Look, this is the biggest All-Star game that you will ever see. We have
really?
everything. We have no Nashville players on there because Felipe said there was none. There's no Nashville
Felipe
players on the
Cardinals.
All-Star team, right?
Maybe there's a couple.
There is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are.
0 for 1.
Maybe a couple. Yeah.
But at least we have Jordi Alba that's in
No.
the All-Star game.
Jordi Alba stop playing.
Nope. Also
Shit.
nope.
Okay. But there's one guy that you know that you could always rely on.
Brad Stuver is playing in the All-Star game. So yes. Brad
You know
Stuver,
that.
Who he was talking about.
the hometown
You
player,
know that
is
is
playing in the All-Star
not
game.
who we are talking about. We are talking about
Miles
the
Robinson.
Messi. The Messi is going to help the MLS All-Stars.
No, he's not.
Win.
Because he is not playing.
Okay, I got nothing.
Okay.
Should we hit the Should we just hit the Wednesday intro again and then just start over?
Yeah, just start the show again.
All right.
Third time's the show.
It's MLS
right.
Wednesday, All-Star Weekend. We got nothing. There's no Messi. There's all the entire Nashville squad made it. Unlike what
Well,
Felipe said he
entire
wanted to do.
Nashville
There's no
squad.
Jordi Alba. There's no Atlanta United players. That's the All-Star game. Have a good Wednesday, everybody. Thank you. Nothing happened in Atlanta United world today, right?
No, nothing at all. Nothing at
Okay.
all.
Not really.
All right, then we
you gotta,
do this.
Oh, god damn it.
no, Tommy.
And we're back. And we're back.
Gotta give us a heads up before you do this stuff.
I'm gonna hit. No, that's the point. You don't hit the button. You don't tell the people about the buttons until you hit the buttons.
Damn, Tommy Tank Top is going off the rails here.
Yeah.
Tommy's had a long day, so he's had quite a few.
I'm
drinks
sure you.
before he
Yeah,
has
that's
this.
what I've heard. That's what I've heard. By the
You
way,
know what else? It's been a long day for Atlanta United. They've done quite a few
has.
things.
well, we should add a caveat. If you're listening to Apple Podcast, Spotify, and iHeart on a Wednesday night, yes, it is. Also, if you're listening on Thursday morning, you already saw the game. You already know what happened. Somebody won. I don't know who won, but just you'll know when you wake up who won. But yes, a lot going on in Atlanta United news. Enia Mihai, guys. Enia Mihai has arrived. He is training with Atlanta United. And he said in his initial remarks on Tuesday, he wants to be in the club to fight for titles. And I want to ask you guys what your initial reaction is to his remarks that he made with the media on Tuesday in his first training. Well, not his first training session, but just Tommy, initial reaction to Enia Mihai and what you have heard from him so far in his time with Atlanta United.
He's probably seen the tweets of Atlanta United fans doubting every transfer that comes in now going forward. Any guy that comes in here to a club that's struggling, what are they going to say? That's going to instill confidence. If you're coming into like a club, like if you're a Medi that's coming into a team that is expected to win MLS Cup, there's obviously things that you're going to say. Like I'm here just to help the team make better, to help win MLS Cup. But when you're at the bottom 4 or whatever it is of the league, what are you going to say there? It's just I'm here and I'm going to try my best. So
yeah,
and Atlanta United fans have dealt with a lot of transfers. Unfortunately, they just haven't worked out the way that they wanted. And he obviously knows that here, and he knows that the team that he's coming to, all the players are going to know what the team that they're coming into here. And I'm sure the dream that Chris and Garth are selling is that, yeah, it sucks right now, but our plan is to compete next year. If we sneak into a playoff, I mean, we saw the magic that happened last season where you snuck in. If that doesn't happen, then the goal is 2026.
I feel like that's the goal with all these signings, right? Mihai, and we'll talk about another couple signings that might be coming in. But Henry, I feel like that's the ultimate goal. You're just kind of look at 2026, 2025 essentially is a wash. You're not going anywhere. These signings are being made with next year in mind.
Absolutely. And even though Mihai did say, he's coming in to do his best to get this team into a playoff spot, we know that's a long shot. Even with the additions that this team is
Very long shot.
trying to make, it just really doesn't seem very likely. But one thing that I think really stood out to me in particular about this press conference is that he didn't repeat something that we've heard from a lot of signings in the past, and he didn't start going like oh, hello player, why are you here? Oh, because Atlanta's a big club, and this, that, and the other. They start talking about Atlanta like we're freaking Real Madrid of ML. We're not, right? Atlanta hasn't been a dominant club in this league.
Who is our La Liga counterpart at this point, do you think? So we're not
right
Real
now.
Madrid.
I mean, who's that? Like the relegation territory? I don't know. Freaking our I don't know, man. Just some like relegation tier team in La Liga, because that's where we are at this point. But
Cadiz.
Sure, them. Cool name too. But yeah, I appreciated that because I think it shows that he's a little bit more grounded. He kind of knows actually what he's stepping into. He has an idea about this team. He said he watched the last 5 games and he was in the stadium for the Charlotte game. I know because we ran into him going to the press conferences. So it was interesting, just to see the difference in how he answered those questions and his attitude, I guess. And I hope that what he brings in, this kind of leadership. He said that he can organize this back line, that he sees himself as that type of player. That's what he brings.
Right.
However, I mean, words are great, but I sympathize with a lot of fans that are in quote unquote show me mode, because really this club needs to show at this point what they are doing. And the signings need to speak not with their words, but with their actions and how they play. So I look forward to seeing him play. Hopefully he plays on Saturday and we get to see some of him. But yeah, I need to see him on the field now to really judge how this is going to go.
So let me ask you guys this, based on what he said, he wants to be in a club that fights for titles. And he said he left Famalicão for that reason, to be with a club that fights for titles, and maybe he feels that his time with Famalicão kind of ran its course. But I want to ask you, if Atlanta United struggles out of the game in 2026, does he kind of get uncomfortable with his position or Atlanta United's position? And I mean, does he look to make the move somewhere else, maybe on loan or somebody where he feels he can be even more involved in the title race, I guess, is my question. What do you guys
Pretty
think?
sure Sleesh has said the same thing, very similar. Gregerson has played Latte Loth. I mean, they all come in saying, my goal is to win championships here. I heard there was a rumor that someone saw him at the game saying, hitting his phone going, Siri, how do I get more money, after seeing that those 3 goals allowed in the second half. Look, when you play FIFA and they give you all the options as a player or as a coach of things to say, I mean, a lot of it's just standardized of what players say. And it's in every sport. It comes into a team and they're at the top of the table. It's like, I'm here to help win championships. If they're at the bottom of the table, I'm here to help these guys make it into the playoffs and see what can happen. Like, these are just basic things that these guys say. There's very rarely anything that a player can say coming into a club that's shocking, that they could say that really blows you away there. I mean, unless someone came in and said specifically, like, I talked to the front office and they said that this team lacks leadership, and they thought that I would be a good leader to come in here and help lead this team into the future. Like, that'd be something cool, I guess, to say. That would be something maybe a little less cookie cutter from what that comes in there. But like, this is just the time of the year when players come in and they just say the kind of the same things that everyone else says. And I mean, Atlanta United fans have seen it here. I mean, everyone comes in saying they want to win a championship. Garth said the same thing. Chris Henderson said the same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone says the same thing. And it really just doesn't matter until they hit the pitch and see what they can do. And for us specifically, because we've been burned by seeing the first 5 to 10 games with them, it's can the clock hit the next season and you still continue to be impressive? Because they could look really impressive for the until October, but until February 20 something hits and they hit that first game and they're still doing it, that's when I'll believe that they're actually good long term.
Yeah, for sure. Henry, is that your fear? Like, the team kind of gets on shaky ground to start 2026. Does he kind of say, hey, you know what? I thought this team would be better than it was. I may need to kind of piece out, whether on loan or something else or a transfer. What are your thoughts? Because this is a player that's played in La Liga. He's played in Europe. He's played in Spain for most of his career. Now he's going over to MLS for presumably a better opportunity. So,
yeah, I don't think that he is going to be that kind of player that's, I guess, a bounty hunter, you could say, a guy chasing the money, a mercenary, or a guy that, once the going gets tough is going to dip out. I'm sure he knows. If he's watched the last 5 games, he knows the situation this club is in. And given his remarks, I think he understands how serious the situation is. But if he really if he wasn't okay with the prospect of, okay, we're going to have a few bumps at the start, I don't think that he would have agreed to this project. I'm sure as a free agent, there were other places he could have gone. I'm sure there was other opportunities for him, but for him to choose this club, knowing the situation that it is in, I don't. That doesn't give me the vibe of someone who will leave when times are bad. So I think it'll be fine. And I agree with Tommy. We're at a point where players come in and they're pretty decent for what remains of the season, and then the next season they have a massive drop off, and that is a very concerning trend. We need to see that this guy comes in, puts the work, and we hit preseason and he is still putting in the work, and he continues and he maintains the level that he had before,
right?
Which again, we don't really know much about, but hopefully we will see once he starts playing. But yeah, in order to be a quote unquote long-term signing, a setting down the foundation for what would be long-term success, then he needs to be able to carry that into different seasons. And the real test is, how does he come back from preseason?
I got my notes mixed up, guys. I said he played in La Liga. I said he played in Spain. He did not. He played in Greece, obviously Portugal as well. But, he is here. He is in the fold. We might see him against Seattle. As far as other signings that might come in, this is the player that I was thinking about when I was looking at the notes here. Juan Berrocal, Spanish center back.
Say that again?
Reportedly, Juan Berrocal. Did I get that right?
There's nobody in the business Spanish that does better than what's no. Don't talk yourself down there, buddy. You say it just one more time for the folks in the back.
Juan Berrocal.
It just hits harder every time.
Henry, how was that?
It was okay.
All right, you hit it. You hit it now.
You say it.
Juan Berrocal.
Oh,
I'll defer to you.
Sidney, you've been dethroned. I'm sorry, buddy. I tried to you up, but you've been passed up.
Sorry, man. I have to as the Spanish speaker on this podcast, but yeah.
Yeah, the reports from Tom Bogert saying that he could be on loans from Getafe and La Liga Dos. And another center back. Obviously Morales being transferred to CF Montreal. That was made official, on Wednesday today. But you have another center back coming in along with him. So you have Mihai Williams, Gregerson, Abraham, Cobb, who are here. Berrocal reportedly coming in on loan. So I guess the big question is, who's out in that group? I mean, Williams coming up with his contract. Gregerson can't stay healthy. Abraham's out of contract at the end of this year. Cobb is here. You would think for the long haul. Who's out? That's the big question.
Everyone.
Or do you kind of you just clear the deck,
burn it down?
Just let them all go.
I mean, long term, you obviously want to get. I mean, the loan's just for this season, correct?
I don't know.
We don't know how long it is.
Yeah, just
it could be short term, so it
unknown.
ends at the end of the season, or a year long and it ends next summer.
With an option to buy, probably, I would assume.
You would assume he'd get some playing time here because you have to see what you have in him, whether this is a short term, this is just half a season, or it goes into next summer. I mean, you have to see what you have here. I mean, the Colonel put in here, Henderson apparently thinks the problem is defense, nothing but defense incoming here. I mean, that's the topic of the weekend. You look at the game on Saturday and say, I don't disagree just by watching that game. While it looked really good in one half, and then you got rid of the one guy that looked really good in that half at playing defense. You've got to look at long term here. And the question is what is Chris thinking about specifically Gregerson? You look at what Ronnie Dyla said maybe a month and a half ago, as he said, one of the biggest things about a player is his availability, and he hasn't been available. This is kind of becoming this is kind of becoming the Ezequiel Barco knock of the summer, where it was just, is he back? Is he back? Is the knock over? Knock, knock.
Yeah.
Are you coming back? Like that's what you were waiting for. And the longer this continues to go, obviously you don't want to buy out a player that you paid decent money for,
Sure,
and obviously has value when he's healthy. But unfortunately, it's just becoming this thing where you just assume that he's not going to be available, and that's just not a good thing for this team. You need your center backs to be available, especially when you want to go offense. Well, if you're going offense, you have to be ready for the counter, and you have to be able to defend, and you just haven't been able to do that all season.
Yeah, Henry, I know you're talking about, like, and talking to your point. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of money to buy him out. I mean, wait, is he making $900K this season or something like that, or thereabouts? I could have that wrong, but Henry, you kind of drawing the analogy between LAFC and Giroud, but also the Italian duo of Insigne Bernardeschi up in Toronto FC, kind of parallels between. You were talking more like Murinchuk, right? I believe, but you could probably apply that somewhat to Gregerson. I mean, not a DP, but still a player that you're paying a lot of money for to not perform, because he's played well when he's been on the pitch. The problem is getting him on the pitch. So maybe a decision to make for Atlanta United.
Yeah, for me, the most likely candidate for the buyout is Gregerson, because he is, like you said, on 900K, more or less. That is his guaranteed comp, and his contract runs to 2027. So you have him on the books for about 2 more years.
Yeah.
The thing is, like you said, he's not a bad defender. When he's on the field, he's pretty good. But the issue is that he can't stay on the field.
Yeah.
And this season, I don't even remember what the number was that I put in that article that I published this morning, but he hasn't played a whole lot this season. He's been out. Originally, it was reported that, okay, he's out with a quad injury for a minimum of, I think it was 3 weeks. And it's been 3 months that he's been out, and still no sign of his return. But yeah, he has played just 8 of 23 games this season. And when that's your starting center back that you're relying on, and you're paying almost $1 million in salary, that makes no sense, that contract. So he would probably be the most likely target for the buyout, in my opinion. When you look at Abram and Williams, these are 2 players whose contracts actually expire at the end of the season. So it doesn't really make sense to use a buyout on them. Just let them run out once the season ends. Abram probably not getting renewed. Williams, maybe, if you want to get that veteran depth, if you want to keep him there. Or if you're going to look to bring someone else, potentially, that would be fine too.
Yeah.
But yeah, also, you have to look at who would top the depth chart, and I think we're assuming that Berrocal is going to come in and start, right?
Yeah.
He's a primarily left-sided center back. So he would start alongside Mihai in that back four, is at least the plan or what it's painting out to be. But yeah, I think at this point, if we're looking at who is out of that group, the most likely two for me would be Abram because his contract is ending at the end of the year, and then Gregerson if this team decides to use the buyout on him, which again, he is who I think is the most likely target of that buyout.
Yeah, I wouldn't really argue with that. But if Berocao does come in, you do have the decision to make. Williams, I'm kind of on the fence about, right? Because, of his form has kind of, dipped a little bit. His injury history, I think, has caught up with him just a little bit as well. So you can find a veteran center back pretty much anywhere in MLS on the free agent market. So maybe it's worth letting him walk, going for maybe a little younger option if you do want to get depth. But Berocao, currently of Getafe and again La Liga dos, reportedly could be coming over on loan from La Liga dos Spain to Atlanta United, according to Tom Bogert. He was also reporting Steven Alzate, midfielder from Hull City. Not much we've heard since the initial report that he was coming over, perhaps. He would fall into that midfield. Of course, you have Slish, Muyumba, Riley, Click. You just waived, so he would fit in there. I guess the question is, you have to look at what's your situation at midfield, because again, you have Slish. Slish is your starter right now. Muyumba is your starter. Do you keep him around? Alzate, I imagine if you bring him over from the championship, he's going to start in midfield. Riley is coming up. You have, of course, Jay Fortune, who is injured. He'll be back in the fold, I'm sure, in 2026. So you have some options and some decisions to make there in the midfield as well.
I feel like Muyumba is going to be gone sooner than later, and it's kind of a shame because I feel like he's obviously gotten better this season. One of the few players that you could say that really has improved there. And look, you really need to revamp your midfield, and with Click, obviously, being the buyout, if that's the official term, because I think waiving is eventually to lead it into the buyout. I mean, you got to revamp for next season because it's been a mess. It's been just trying different combinations and seeing if it works. And we come on here frequently after a game and say, I don't want to see this combo ever again. And I think we've said that too many times during the season. Like,
then they end up scoring on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't want to see this combo ever again. And unfortunately, because of injuries, you've had to go with some of these combinations multiple times, or you had to go into these different combinations. And you look at some of the better teams in MLS, that midfield is consistent game to game to game. And that's what makes them good, is because they are consistent and you can rely on these guys to, one, stay healthy, and two is just, obviously playing games together, you have a cohesion there and the games flow much better. And that's your heart of your team is your midfield. And we just haven't had that for such a long time. So to see them obviously waving Click here and then bring some players in and seeing what you have now, I think is a good thing, instead of just hoping that you go into preseason next year and hope that you got it right by the time the preseason opener or the season opener starts. Yeah.
And I'm curious what your kind of pulse check on Alzate is. I mean, I personally haven't seen too much of him. He's been with Hull City not too long. He has that familiarity with Ronnie Dyla. He played for him at Standard Liège when he was on loan for Brighton. So there's that familiarity. But I feel like the clearest sign that Dyla is going to have a hand in who comes in this window, the next window, more than he had in the winter window. Granted, he just got here in the winter, but this is the first time he gets to sit down and say, hey, I like this player. I like that player. Let's see if we can bring him into this team. Let's see if he fits into this team. And Alzate is one of those players, it looks like.
Yeah. I mean, he's Colombian, so that's automatically a plus for me. But no, from what little film I have seen of him, like the few highlight reels that I've seen of him, he looks like a guy with good dribbling ability, not afraid to face pressure, and can more or less maneuver that pretty well. So yeah, a ball winning midfielder. We said that was a must for this summer window.
Yeah.
I would assume if that does happen, because again, the report was that the clubs had agreed, but now they're onto personal terms, and that is something that has to be cleared. Obviously, that's not a given. But once they sort that out, assuming that they do, he would presumably start alongside Sleesh in that midfield. I see a double pivot right there, and then I guess Ronchik at the 10 if that's how they're going to continue playing it. But yeah, I'd be interested to at least see what he brings. He seems definitely like an upgrade. Muyumba to me is very inconsistent.
Yeah,
especially this season. He's had games where he's shined. He's been dynamic. He's been good, but there are others where he gives away a lot. He isn't I guess comfortable on the ball. He turns over way too often. So yeah, that's my main frustration with him. But yeah, I think this is an overall positive of a signing if it gets done, and I can't wait to see him hit the ground running.
Yeah, and for me, the biggest thing I mentioned earlier was this mean for Jay Fortune. I would assume he's in Atlanta United's plans moving forward. I think he has an option for 2026, so there's a decision to be made there. I really want to see this team hold on to younger players longer, and that's why I was disappointed with the trade of Morales to CF Montreal. By the way, 450 GAM coming back to Atlanta guarantee for 2025, and 350K if incentives are met, and Atlanta United hold a sell-on percentage for him. So Morales is gone. Just real quick before you get Tony on, Steve Cook, Atlanta United 2 head coach, is now at Lexington Sporting Club, Lexington SC in the USL Championship. He is now their Academy and Youth Technical Director. So our appreciation to Steve for his work with LA United's Academy, LA United 2 over the past couple of years. And then Mateusz Klich, as we mentioned, was waived no longer with the team. He posted to his Instagram story first day on unemployment. So he is looking for his next role. And it sounds like it's in Poland, but we'll see. All that covers more scarvesandspikes.com. Go there to get our LA United news, analysis, and opinion. Patreon.com/scarvesandspikes. We're doing a All-Star Game watch along. Started at 8:45. So you get that. Get bonus content, bonus items that you won't get anywhere else. Patreon.com/scarvesandspikes. But guys, Atlanta United taking on the Seattle Sounders on Saturday. Tony Husband will be calling that match for MLS Season Pass, and he is back with us. Tony, how's it going? Thanks for joining us again.
Very nice to see you all. Yeah, how are you all?
Doing well. Thanks for coming back on. I know you've had a busy summer. I think you were, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I've heard you on not only obviously MLS Season Pass, but I think I've heard you on some Club World Cup matches this season, haven't I?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Atlanta was like my second home this summer. I was there. I was there for about a month. Club World Cup with TNT and DAZN, and while continuing obviously the MLS duties with MLS Season Pass. So it's been a very, very busy summer, but I mean, I can't complain. I've just watched lots and lots of soccer. It's been really good fun. So and I'm looking forward though actually to coming to Atlanta and actually being, because I didn't do any Club World Cup games in the stadium in Atlanta. So obviously always nice to come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So very much looking forward to that this weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to having you back. And then just real quick, sounds like the England women are getting on well in Women's Euros, so we got to bring that up too, just quickly.
Yes, I was watching yesterday. I actually felt it was a little bit like watching our men's team last year, and that we haven't really been great, but we're finding a way to get through. I think everybody feels that we will need to play better if we're to win it and to retain the title. But we have our own Adjumang right now. Sorry to bring up a Charlotte favorite there, but she's been fantastic, and who knows how we get on in the final.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I am a fan of Italy. I've been for a very long time. As soon as it hit the 90th minute, I told my wife, I go, they're gonna allow a goal. I've seen the script of the last game. I know how that worked.
You're not going to complain about the penalty,
said that player too.
You're going to complain about the penalty. Do you think it was soft? I thought it was soft.
100%.
Yeah. No, I sympathise with you there.
Yeah.
It was, it felt like a slightly fortuitous penalty, but and actually, do you know what? The penalty was saved. I don't know if you've seen this, but there was a proposal under the lawmakers for the future, the next kind of iteration of laws, how they go and tinker with things, that in the future, if you get a penalty kick like that in regulation time, follow-ups will not be allowed, so rebounds. So I was just thinking, gosh, in a year's time, if IFAB changed that law, we would have missed the penalty and that would have been it. But we got we got the rebound. So anyway. The kind of curious thing that people like me sometimes take interest in.
No. It'd be interesting if they do end up adding it to lots of the game. That'll be interesting to see. But
Sydney, real quick, let me just say this: every team I root for, and they have something crazy happens, they make the rule change the following year. The Falcons, when they blew the Super Bowl, they changed the overtime rule. Every time they change the rule of a team, I'm the jinx apparently.
I jinxed that Super Bowl because I'm a huge fan of the NFL. I was watching it with some English people who don't know much about the NFL. Yeah. And when the Falcons went, how many up did they go? Like 17, 19?
Don't remind us.
Sorry. they went a lot up anyway before halftime. And I turned to somebody and said, it's game over.
It was Tony's fault the entire time, and we didn't know it.
Found them.
My fault. 8 years. It's been my
breaking
fault.
News.
Yeah. Well, hopefully for Atlanta fans, we get a good result against the Sounders on Saturday. And, just kind of pivoting to that, I feel like every year the Sounders are in the mix. Of course, they came a win away from getting to the MLS Cup final last season. I guess, how do you reckon their season has gone so far? How do you reckon they've done it, I guess? It's a big question. Again, they're top 4 in the West. How do you reckon things have gone to get them to that point?
Well, I think Seattle are exactly what Atlanta should be. And I think what we expect Atlanta to have been for the last few years. They're a big club, big market, big fan base. And, you expect them to win things. Atlanta did that briefly and just cannot seem to get it right. Seattle have just been up there and have shown that even a league of parity, that you can still maintain a strong position in this league and you can be contenders year in, year out. And I feel right now, if you're in the Western Conference, there's a bit of an ominous feeling about Seattle. They've come out of the Club World Cup 5 unbeaten since then. This is a team that knows how to play late in the season. They know how to get through games that matter late in the season. So I feel pretty high on the Sounders right now. They've got 1 or 2 players back as well. They'll have players back from suspension this weekend as well. 2 of their potential starting back line are back. They have been hampered by injuries earlier in the season. But, this is a group that you just feel like they have a way of getting it done and getting it done at the right phase of the season. So, and I just feel that is everything I expected of Atlanta coming into this year. The crazy is we get asked back in kind of, the beginning of February by MLS, can you come up with your positions and, who's going to be the playoff contenders, who's going to be playing an MLS Cup. Now, I haven't got it in front of me. I can't find it anywhere, but I'm pretty sure. Do you know what? I think I put down, after all my predictions in February, I think I put down Seattle Atlanta as an MLS Cup matchup. Because I felt Seattle they just know how to get it done every year in, year out. I factored in a few things, like I thought Miami's fixture congestion would eventually catch up with them. I felt Columbus had hit their peak and were maybe just coming on the other side of it now. And I looked at what Atlanta did to finish the season, the momentum you carried through, the investment in the players up front, and thought, when you put all these things together, Ronnie Dyler coming in, the experience of having won MLS Cup himself, I thought, Atlanta are going to be riding high. And well, I still think Seattle are going to be right up there towards the end of the season. But clearly, this has not been the year we expected from Atlanta at all.
You've jinxed us twice, Tony. That's 2 times.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I kind of feel like I have jinxed you on that as well. I'm sorry. I thought you could win the Eastern Conference this year, given one or two of the other factors I thought around the other contenders. But sadly, not to be.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you look at what happened with Atlanta last season. You go and you sneak into the playoffs. You beat Miami, and then you add 2 DPs onto the roster. You add Click into the midfield. That is a DP that you're not paying a DP, and you're technically adding a big name player here, and he's on his way out at this point. He was waived here, and it's obviously very frustrating for Atlanta fans right now, and that's what we were talking about before you hopped on. There's a lot of rumors coming in right now, and a lot of signings that are basically all tied to the defense of this team. And if you saw what happened to us on Saturday, you looked really good for the first half, and then you allow 3, as the word I think Ronnie Dylas said, 3 soft goals that went in, and now you see a midfield, a defensive midfielder coming in, and potentially 2 center backs. I mean, at least Atlanta knows the assignment that they need to bring in to become tougher on the defensive side.
Yeah, I think absolutely right. I mean, we know what this team needs because, look, the money's been spent up the top. Latte Lat should score goals in this league, and it's a disappointing return for him. Moranchuk, we're still not seeing really the best of. Jay Fortune, losing him to injury is a real blow for me. I really enjoyed watching his progress until he went down. But I mean, just a takeaway on Saturday's game, which actually I sat and watched it in full earlier today. And I mean, I obviously take notes as I'm watching that game as I prepare for this weekend. And in the end, I lost track of how many different lineups you had across the back. And if you think it was a substitution at halftime, which saw a reshuffle, 15 seconds after halftime, the first ball played in the heart of the penalty area is right between a new centre half, if you like, in Edwards at the start of the second half, and it's a goal. And then they changed the back line round again and again and again, and there was no consistency there in front of Brad Guzan for me. And I mean, that is, I'm not a tactical expert on the game, but I was struck by watching that. If you've got no consistency across that back line, it's going to open you up to potentially conceding soft goals. And that's exactly what they were. I mean, this is just another one where for you guys, I feel you must be very frustrated because there was nothing in that game, in that first 45 minutes, to suggest that Charlotte are going to win this one by scoring 3, to ultimately Atlanta's 2. But, they will feel like they've walked away with a 3-1 the way they came back and won that game. There was nothing to suggest that should happen. And to be honest with you, most people, a lot of teams have been able to shut Charlotte down this season. So, that was a big, big win for them in the context, of course, of what that fixture means to the teams. And a big loss for Atlanta, you just sensed, because, look, last year, found a way to get there to 40 points and then the season exploded. This year, 40 points is not going to be enough, and you're a long, long way away.
Well, you talk about the substitution. We thought that the substitution was because we were told it was because he couldn't run anymore, but apparently it was because he had to run to the airport because we traded him to Montreal. So we thought it was one thing, and then 24 hours we found out it was a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, again, that's a homegrown coming through that you're bidding farewell to. And there's a sell on there, I guess. But it's a tough one, I think, to lose Morales at this point. But obviously, the new recruits already in the camp. With Mihai having come in. So I'm going to be interested to see, how quickly he is pitched in. He clearly is somebody who talks a very confident game, and you would expect him to be coming into the lineup pretty much straight away now that he's been here and been training, and he's an experienced player. So you're going to hope that he can get into the lineup soon and make a difference there.
Tony, you talked about Seattle as an example for Atlanta. And obviously some of that hasn't gone exactly to plan, but Atlanta has a couple of executives that ran Seattle and helped build the machine that it is now. What does Atlanta need to learn from Seattle, what they are doing to become more like them, really embody that example?
Yeah, I think it's, obviously you want some continuity there. Garth has stepped away right now, and we wish him, our best. But obviously with Chris Henderson there, these are the guys that have overseen and helped build Seattle into what they are, and it's been built on consistency. I mean, if you look at it, I'm looking back at the game last time Seattle may have played there or won there in Atlanta some 6 years ago. I was looking back at the lineups from that team. There's kind of a continuity, even just looking at who was playing for Seattle. There's continuity in who was the coach of Seattle. And that just goes to show they're a stable group. They've good foundations, and consistently year in, year out, they do well. Atlanta just needs to have that. And yet I would have said, 3 or 4 years ago, it looked like Atlanta would have that, but it's just been a very tumultuous time. And it just goes to show, as well, you can have everything set up. You can have everything right across the board. You can have the right training facilities. You can bring in people in the right positions around the club. You can recruit. You can have the best recruiters out there. But ultimately, sometimes soccer comes down to who is the coach of the team, who's the number one. I mean, in England, we always have referred to them as the manager of the team because they've taken on a greater role than just training the team. But, if you want to call them just the head coach, that position is absolutely fundamental to the success of a club. And I think it just goes to show in Atlanta where, for whatever reason, people have come and gone, it just hasn't worked or whatever. Now, Ronny Deila has had a bad start, but he has got the experience. You've got to hope that some continuity will build a brighter future for this Atlanta team.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. So, talking about, Seattle, they won 2-1 against San Jose, their last match out. And you talk about Atlanta having underperforming DPs at this point. I feel like Seattle fans will feel that De La Vega is underperforming himself.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? And do you feel like that 1 goal, 1 assist performance against the Quakes could be his breakout game, the one game that finally gets him out of his funk and gets him performing like a DP, the way that Sounders fans and really Craig Weibel hoped that he would when he signed for the club?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Brian Schmetzer said that's the guy we thought we were signing. I think he got a brace at the weekend. I still have to watch the full Seattle game back, but I saw them in Club World Cup as well. Where they made a good account of themselves, and actually, the Botafogo game could have, if they could have got something from that, it could have been very interesting. But they played 3, really daunting matches in the group of death there, so they were never likely to get through it. But again, it was another learning curve for the team and for the club. De La Vega, I don't think he's had injury issues since he arrived at Seattle. So I think that can be the problem. One of the things you can point it to. So we'll give him a little bit of a pass on the fact that he's never been fully fit at times during his Seattle career. But they brought him in to score goals. They paid good money for him. They've got to hope that he does. He got some goals as well in CONCACAF earlier in the year. He didn't build off that. So they've got to hope he does. Hopefully not starting against Atlanta, but certainly as the run-in for the end of the season goes. Same goes for Jesus Ferreira. A bit of a slow start to his career for Seattle, but some signs that he's finding his feet now. And there are more options across the field in the attacking positions for them. So, as I mentioned right at the top, Seattle's season looks like it's on a bit of an upswing now, coming off the back of the momentum of Club World Cup. And if I was in the West, I would be looking at them and saying they could be a team that's going to cause some problems. And they're creeping up into those home playoff positions, and they have a game in hand on most of the other teams as well.
And then quickly, you're talking about injuries. One of the big ones, of course, is Jordan Morris. He's on the shelf, I believe, 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Sounds like Danny Musovski will be filling those minutes for him, is what I'm reading. And Musovski is in the midst of a career season, 8 goals, 2 assists. I guess, how does he fit into, or how has he been able to fit into Brian Schmetzer's system over there in Seattle?
I think Brian Schmetzer is very good at just at putting players in in the positions that they're the most comfortable in on the whole. You've seen for so long how he's often had a central striker kind of flanked by two wide men with pace. I mean, Morris has been perhaps the one who has been able to do both and has played wide and central. I mean, don't forget they brought in Paul Arriola at the start of the season, and I think back when I was making those now infamous predictions, I was looking at the impact of Arriola as well and thinking that was a good signing, a really good squad signing for a team that's going to play a lot of games this season. I think that, Mazowski will just be given confidence by the way Brian Schmetzer coaches his players. I think he empowers them to go out and do the job. He doesn't strike you openly and publicly as a kind of ranter and raver and screamer at his players. I'm sure there is some of that behind the scenes. But Mazowski, is finding his feet there. He's starting to score some goals, the best kind of passage of play that he's had. And they'll relish going into Atlanta. The turf will offer obviously no problem to them. They're used to playing on that. And they'll feel this is a good time, to go to Atlanta, one of their rare trips over to the Southeast, because right now this is a challenging time for the Five Giants, as you well know.
So talking about them traveling to Atlanta, one of the things I was looking into, to go back to the football we were talking about, I was reading an article the other day about just teams that travel from the West Coast to the East Coast, the California team specifically, and their records flying over in the NFL. And it made me start thinking about MLS, because a lot of these guys are accustomed to flying 3 hours for a game, and they still struggle. Well, when you have MLS players come in, you hear a lot about them just not being used to the travel, because a lot of it's just bus rides to the other stadium. How do you, with you working with MLS, have you noticed a trend of specifically of teams, going all the way from West Coast to East Coast or East Coast to West Coast, and just coming out with a performance that just doesn't seem typical for them?
Yeah, it's a really interesting point, actually. I haven't spent a great deal of time talking about it, or thinking about it, but I can think of one game immediately that I did earlier this season, Charlotte against San Diego. San Diego, I think, came in on the Thursday into Charlotte. I mean, and that's just about as long a trip as San Diego are going to have. It's almost kind of coast to coast kind of stuff. And the San Diego performance on the Saturday night was probably their worst of the season. I mean, they were well beaten. That's my one live experience watching San Diego this season. And so I kind of went away that night thinking this is a team that I don't see them staying up where they are, because of the evidence of what I've just seen, that they're actually going to struggle a bit. The euphoria of their first few weeks of the season seemed to be fading. Boy, I mean, again, that just shows how kind of wrong the takeaway can be if you do it on that small sample size of one cross-country game, because they've been fantastic. And now it's whether they're going to win the Western Conference. So, but that's an interesting point. I mean, I know I went west for El Tráfico last weekend, and we're kicking off at 9:40 p.m. in my body clock, and the game's finishing at midnight my time. And I'm not used to that. 3 nights before, I'd been in the Central Time Zone doing a game, so when you do that travel cross country, I'm sure statistically the teams that do those really long journeys, it is tough. They all have different ways of doing it, though. I mean, you'll find some teams will go 2 days early if it's a 2 to 3 hour time difference. They'll try and adjust, so they'll have 2 training sessions potentially, or a training session and a walkthrough. Some of the others, they don't change it. They go in late, and they just want to kind of drop in, come out. It would be very interesting to see if anybody's done a study on actually what is the more effective way to deal with both the travel and the time changes. Because for sure that can be a factor. I mean, with this Seattle group, again, you kind of feel like, well, they're an experienced group, experienced head coach who must have a tried and tested way of doing it. But it's an interesting and thought-provoking point, isn't it? When we have such a big country, and of course that dominates so much of the chat today. I'm seeing about will the schedule change or not? And all those kind of factors with the climate come in.
Toto, we gotta let you go. I think we got a minute left with you, but before we do, I gotta ask you just real quick. Your MVP, is it Messi's to lose at this point? I know Evander's up there. I know Sam Surge, Nashville. You have close association with Nashville. If the season we're in today, who gets MVP, do you think?
I think right now it is Messi's to lose. Now I didn't vote for him last year. I actually gave it to Christian Benteke, because I felt like, actually, if you look at most valuable, if you took him out of his team, then they were nothing, and they weren't too much with him in the team, to be honest, because DC are having a rough time. But so I kind of railed against the idea that Messi finished strong, but I stuck with somebody who I felt really was MVP. But right now, I think it is Messi's to lose, and I would think it's every chance. He's going to win it again. I mean, the thing about him is, I know he's not playing in All-Star, and that's a conversation that lots of people are having. But when talking to Javier Mascherano the other week, Messi will decide when he wants to play, and it's not going to be about 38-year-old aging legs as to when he decides to not play or not. If he's happy and he feels okay, he's going to play, and he's going to play every game. The one certainly in a Miami shirt at least. So if he continues to do that and stays injury free, I think he wins MVP. And it's going to be interesting on Miami. I wasn't sure that come November, late November into December, I wasn't sure whether would they have the staying power with the team they've got. But of course, it looks like about to put a stellar midfielder in there in Rodrigo de Paul, who is going to just be, again, on another level to most midfielders in this league. So, that could be enough to push them a bit deeper into the conversation and get my predictions of the season completely and totally wrong.
We'll see how everything shakes out, especially with Miami, especially with the rest of the league. Tony, great having you back on. You're always welcome back, and have a great call on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And good luck to the Five Stripes. I want to see a strong Five Stripes team in this league because it's all the better for it. So fingers crossed, things are going to turn.
Just no more Atlanta predictions, Tony. Right. Please, please.
No, right. Sorry, Falcons fans.
We'll forgive you for now.
Yeah, we definitely will. No, thanks for coming on, and hopefully catch you at some point this season.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
See you, Tony.
Well, now we know who to blame for the Super Bowl. That's good. I've been blaming Dan Quinn and Shanahan Shanahan's like a name that you can't bring up in my house. But now we just know it's Tony. You just can't say Tony in the Moose home anymore, and you can't blame it anymore. So that's good that we at least got that figured out.
Tony 2-time.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about a guy that I think is underrated is Rusnick. I mean, I've been following him there and been throwing some money on him scoring, and he's with goals and assists. I mean, I think he's got 10 goals and 7 or 8 assists there. I mean, he's the real deal there.
Yeah.
And if you look at the strikers going against Atlanta, I mean, that's obviously the number one guy that you got to really keep an eye out for here. He's just continues to produce. And that scares me because big names do show up against Atlanta United, and they show up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I guess that was one of the points I just wanted to bring up with him about teams that are traveling. And absolutely, Jason, sun's out. I do not wear sleeves once it gets above 80 degrees in Ohio. But like I that's something that always just interests me in general, because you do see teams that some teams that travel, and when they go that far, they just don't show up. They just it's uncharacteristic. And he brought up a good one of San Diego going to Charlotte, and I was hoping he'd have one of those examples here. And
right.
I think that's something that you have to have there. I remember Pity Martinez, and I think it was actually, that's why I brought it up. I think it was actually a trip to Seattle there. I remember that game. I think there was talks of Joseph Martinez, and there was all the talks with Frank DeBoer that were going on around that time about not working out with them. But that team came in and they looked real bad. They looked, I mean, that team didn't look great to begin with early on in the season, but they looked uncharacteristically terrible there. So that's something that I think you just have to look about. But to his point, though, is that a lot of these guys have been around MLS for a long time, and you got a coach that has been in MLS for a long time, where you didn't have Frank DeBoer, obviously, that didn't even know what MLS stood for. and I look at it and say that I do think that this specific team is going to be ready to come into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and ball out.
No, for sure. And I guess counterpoint to that, and Henry and I were talking earlier. The last time Atlanta played Seattle, it was the reverse. They had to go to the West Coast, and again, they were in the midst of a terrible season that year too, and they ended up winning in Seattle 2-0. So
that was the start of the run.
Yeah, no, but definitely travel is a factor. Definitely, you have to fly across the country. You have to adjust your body clock and all of that good stuff. But I mean, it's not impossible to win. Certainly on the road in MLS. Certainly not impossible to win cross country trip in MLS. So, I mean, it could go both ways. It could go both ways. I feel like, I mean, Atlanta needs every advantage it can get at this point, but maybe in that regard, they have the advantage on how to play on the pitch. But we'll see. You mentioned Rusnak. He's always been under the radar, right? 10 goals, 7 assists, like you said, 10 goals, 16 assists last year. Had a good run at Salt Lake, hit double digits in goals 3 of the 5 seasons that he was there. So I feel like he's been definitely under the radar just a little bit. You don't see him mentioned or hear him mentioned among the stars in MLS at all, I think. And then Musovski, Danny Musovski, career season, 8 goals, 2 assists. So I think that's another player that you have to keep an eye on. One player, guys, that we have to discuss too is Nuhu Tolo. And I think we talked about it, Henry, the other day. I can't remember. I don't remember if you were on or if it's with Tyler, but Nuhu has kind of gotten into the wrong side of Brian Schmetzer, and he's an emotional player. He plays with the heart on his sleeve. He basically kicked the ball into the crowd and ended up getting banned for several matches for that. So, I don't know if he's back. I think he's back. I don't know, but maybe you can get under Nuhu's skin, force him into a silly foul or two, and yeah, we'll see if he can keep himself out of the book against Atlanta United on Saturday. But maybe that's an area you can exploit as well if you're Atlanta.
Put Luke Brennan on him. See if he can work his dark arts on. Yeah, see if he can work his dark arts on him. Maybe get him on an early red card or something like that. Because he's been a repeat offender. Because it's something that's happened a lot with Nuhu, where he gets really dumb red cards, and in particular, like this last one, it wasn't even like on the field stuff. It was during a VAR review. He just straight up like throws a ball at a fan.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, man?
Shouldn't have been standing there.
What are we doing? And then the ref comes back and he like flips him off, which is it's just a cherry on top, right? So like no wonder Brian Schmetzer is like at the end of his wits with Nuhu, and it's not like he's an amazing defender either. I mean, he's all right, but he was better before when he first got to the team and was performing at a high level. Now he's not there, and he's not necessarily irreplaceable. So I don't know if he's going to play, if he is available. First of all, I don't know if he's going to play, because I think Schmetzer is going to want to also kind of send a message of like, okay, dude, you got to get your act straight. Like, you cannot keep costing us games because you go and get some stupid red card. And I just, it's absurd that he does that kind of thing. And I think a coach needs to take action and show them that they can't just get away with whatever they want.
You know who has been a good defender for them, though? Is Jackson Reagan. Jackson Reagan is a player that has been among the best defenders in MLS, I think. And you look at how many goals Seattle has allowed, 33 goals. So maybe a little bit above the pace that they allowed goals in 2024. 2024, all of 2024, guys, regular season, they allowed 35 goals. They're at 33 goals already through 20-something matches. And Reagan was a part of that defense last season who really shut defenses down, helped shut defenses down, and made, against Seattle, got them one win away from the MLS Cup final. That being said, he had been, I think, injured earlier. No, he's been starting pretty consistently for them. So as a player I'm looking out for is Jackson Reagan, as he's kind of, again, one of the top defenders in MLS, I think. Missed some time due to injury, but he is back in the fold as of May. Another player, and this is, guys, I want to highlight this, who starts in goal. Is it Andrew Thomas, who's been starting in goal in place of Stephen Fry after that terrible collision he suffered, that concussion just a few weeks ago? Does he start in goal for Seattle? I think if it is Andrew Thomas, you certainly stand a better chance to win if it is Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry is certainly getting the back end of his career, but still a top goalkeeper on his day. I think the likelihood is that we'll see Andrew Thomas versus Stephen Fry.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't hurry him coming back here. When you have a head injury, you should be taking it. You should be taking it easy, especially when you're a contender, and you need him long term. You rest him, especially on a long trip like this. Keep him home. Keep him rested.
Yeah,
and get him ready for the long run. You got Leagues Cup coming up. I'm sure Seattle's not going to try and just give that away. So you're going to need everyone. You're going to need him long term here. So let the guy get some rest. Maybe allow Latte Lot to score a goal or 7.
Latte Lots. I mean, he got that late goal. I mean, maybe that gets him. I said it after the penalty against Toronto, but maybe that gets him going a little bit. We saw he can finally put the ball in the back of the net from open play. So maybe that gets him started just a little bit, guys.
2 goals in the last 3 games. I mean, if that doesn't get him going, I'm not really sure what will. But yeah, hopefully. Just want to see some goals. I want to see the team play 90 minutes of decent soccer. I want to see the team not give away a really, really dumb goal. And I want to see the team come out of the second half looking like a team that more or less knows what they're doing.
Yeah. What do you guys think prediction-wise? How do you think this shakes out, Tommy?
I think it's going to be, unfortunately, I don't think that the changes are coming soon enough for this team. I'm going to say it's going to be close, but I do think Seattle wins 2-1.
Do you think Latte Lot scores for Atlanta, or who do you think scores that goal for Atlanta, though?
I think the guy that scores the goal is a guy that I want to see continue to improve to show this club that he can be a good depth piece. It's Luke Brennan. Brennan. I do like what I've seen from him, and I like his confidence in what he says in his interviews. I think that he's only going to get better, and if they don't make a move for a winger in this window, I want to see him play as much as possible. I don't want to see Saba over there because we've already seen that happen. You need to be built for the future, and unfortunately, I don't think Saba has a long-term future with this club with Miguel Almiron basically locked in to the right there. So if I'm looking at this team, I want to see who could potentially be here long-term, and I don't think that Luke Brennan is the long-term starter for this team. I do think that he could be great depth and a great sub, but he needs minutes. All these players need minutes, and I want to see as many minutes as I can until the last game in October.
And for me, Luke Brennan was really, really fun to watch because I feel like he stretched the Charlotte back line a lot better than Saba has done in his last games. I feel like Brendan is actually stronger in 1v1 duels than Saba. He looked better. He looked more confident. And I think he's missing some of the finer details, just the final touches of what he has to do inside the box to be, a better player, a more kind of starting quality player. But he's got a lot of potential. He looked good, and that's encouraging to me. Yeah, I want to see him play more. I'm with you, Tommy. I think there's that upside of having the homegrowns, and again, we're talking about this after one got shipped off to Montreal.
Yeah,
but you want to see these guys grow, and you want to hopefully see them at some point become dependable members of the first team if given the chance to do so. And I think Brennan can be one of those because of everything that he brings, his ability, his not soccer related stuff in terms of, his I guess, his mind games that he can play, that kind of stuff. I think it'll be fun to see if he develops and sharpens up and what Dyla, what his plan is for him and how he helps him develop. We know that Dyla has trusted young players in the past, and hopefully Luke is on that list.
Does he start on Saturday, guys? Do you think?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You think so,
Oh yeah.
Tommy?
I
Disappointed
want him to, but I
Yeah.
don't think he will. I think
I
Dyla
agree.
goes back to the same old. Put Saba back there.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess what's your prediction, like score wise? I know Tommy said 2-1 Seattle. What are you thinking?
I'll agree. I'll say 2-1 Seattle.
I was gonna say 2-0 Seattle. I just don't. The quality isn't there. I mean, the season's pretty much gone at this point. I mean, I think you'll see Mihai at some point in the second half, but I think by and large Seattle are the better team. I mean, that's not saying a lot considering how Atlanta United has played. And I say 2-0 Seattle to add to the misery that Atlanta United have had, although Atlanta went to their place and won 2-0. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. ScarvesandSpikes.com, guys. Transfer window is about to open. It is open as of Thursday, so we'll be covering all Atlanta United transfer news, incomings, outgoings, all that good stuff. So go there right now. Get your transfer news and rumors filled for Atlanta United. Click on our store as well. Get a hat, t-shirt, get some great Scarves and Spikes gear. That definitely helps us out as we look to do a lot of great stuff with Scarves and Spikes. Patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. Starts at $1.17 a month. All levels of access get you access to our Discord. Higher levels get you more content, more videos, more audio that you won't get anywhere else. And again, tonight, 8:45, Patreon members are invited to our All-Star Game watch-along. Messi's not going to be there. Yeah, Messi-less All-Star Game watch-along, 8:45, patrons only. So sign up today at patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes.
The entire Nashville team is starting. Felipe is actually the assistant coach, and he said all the Nashville players are starting the first half. So we are very excited. This is an all Nashville Felipe lineup. We're pumped for it.
Yeah,
I love how they're trolling him. It's what this league is better when they're having fun. I think honestly, I think that this league needs to show some character.
Yeah,
and these teams know to show character, and damn, Nashville is doing it.
Yeah.
I hate talking nice things about Nashville, but they're doing great.
They are, and you got to give them credit. So little thing that I'm just going to go ahead and put out there. Atlanta United released the trailer for their next Rooted in the Stripes, right? And first of all, it looks really cool. I can't wait to actually see the full thing, but they added this little bit at the end where there's a voice in Spanish, like they're talking on the phone with someone, and there's a voice in Spanish saying, "Okay, perfect, and great to meet all of you."
Oh, interesting.
Which, given the rumor of Juan Berrocal, who is a Spanish center back, maybe there's a connection. Maybe that is a little bit, closer than. I mean, Tom Berger did say it was getting finalized, but maybe that's getting official very, very soon.
We'll see. Of course, we'll cover it if it happens.
Yep.
As well as all the LA United transfer news and rumors. I am at SH Wrights on X and Blue Sky. SidH.soccer on Instagram and Threads. SYDH.soccer on Instagram and Threads. Tommy, where are you on social, sir?
Tommy ATL96.
Henry, where are you on social, sir?
H.A. Higuita.
Tyler is at ATL Pilgrim on all major social media platforms. And again, scarvesandspikes.com. That's where you can find our content. We are at Scarves, the letter N, Spikes on X, scarvesandspikes.com on Blue Sky, Scarves and Spikes everywhere else. I'm forgetting one other thing. Oh, yes. Like and subscribe. Share our content on YouTube. Helps us out so much. Smash that like, please. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart, and listen to us at any time. And I think that's it, gentlemen. What a great show.
I was told my kids told me I'm not allowed to say smash anymore.
press that like button.
Say that.
Your mic.
You
Ew,
didn't hear
yeah.
a word of what you just said, dude.
Good. Good.
Bye, guys.
That's
We'll
probably
never
for the
know.
best. Wait, are we playing the intro again?
No.
Nah.
Oh.
Want to
Okay.
start the show again?
Come on, that was fun. I had this planned all day. As soon as I heard Messi was out, I'm like, no, we're going hard on this one. I was already planning on teasing the Nashville thing, and then when I heard Messi and Jordy were out, I'm like, oh, it's on. It's
They
on.
asked Garber about it, if he was going to be suspended, and his quote was, "We're managing through that process as we speak."
So no.
Yeah.
So no.
Release them. Never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. Never mind. Yeah, I'm sure they're looking
Another
real hard
call
into
for
it.
you.
Right.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging
Thanks,
out.
everyone.
Come hang out with us and watch the All-Star game. I'm probably good for at least 4 Messi rants.
You mean the all Nashville game?
Yep. Oh, Nashville.